you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hello, this is the Goffstown Conservation Commission, and what is this, October 28th meeting?
Yes.
I'm going to read the policy about right-to-know law. As the acting chair of the Goffstown Conservation Commission, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this commission is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are, 1, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. Conservation Commission is utilizing the telephone conference line for this electronic meeting. The public has access to listening and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number. Should we ask somebody can they mute themselves or not?
That's Sue, I don't know what you're doing, but you're interfering with the sound. I don't know what you're doing. I can.
The
it on.
telephone number is 603-766-5646. And using the participant code 785645, followed by the number sign. Do they follow by the number 9?
You have to put the pound sign.
By the pound sign. Okay, number 2, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. Number 3, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are any problems with access. If anybody has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-660-5000. Number 4, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. If the meeting is unable to access the meeting, you will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled for another time. Please note that all votes will be taken during the meeting by roll call. And if you want to speak, you press number 9,
Star 9.
star 9, to let our secretary know that you want to speak. All righty. We are going to proceed now with our agenda.
So you need to start the meeting by roll call attendance.
Oh, sorry. Roll call attendance. Jean Walker,
Present.
Amy Polak,
Present.
Chuck Freiberger,
Present.
David Neiman,
Present.
Sue Tucker,
Oh, I have her muted still. I meant, sorry, Sue.
is Susan not here?
Sue, no, I had her muted because there was interference from whatever.
Oh.
She's here.
And Andrew Chaplin?
Present.
Great.
Paulus Adams, Select Board Rep.
Hollis Adams and Evelyn Miller.
And Patty Gale staff.
Okay. Now we're ready to go. Okay, so for the first thing tonight, we are looking at map 25, lot 27. This is a request for relief of the outer 50 feet of the wetland surface water conservation area to allow the owner to construct a 798 square foot addition to existing home by adding an attached garage with rooms above, expand the existing decks and stairs, and also allow on-site improvements to the property by restoring an area of existing pavement to a previous vegetated state. The property is owned by Scott Buckland and is located at 115 Danish Park Road. This is zoned residential 2, and SWC district overlay. And I believe we had a site work on this first. Are we gonna have, or we're gonna just go into the discussion of what they've
Alice, do
you've
you wanna
submitted?
go over the comments from the site walk? I have them right here if you want.
Carlson,
Yeah, we did a site walk on the property on September 29th, 2020 at 5:30 in the afternoon. And the following was discussed at that site walk. The recommendation was that the greenhouse within the 50-foot WSWC district setback be moved. We raised concerns with a gas tank on a slab that had been there before the setback regulations, so we didn't really have any concerns with that because it was pre-existing. I thought that the existing boat ramp was excessive and should be cut down in width so that it can only accommodate a single tow vehicle or trailer. And the plan should be revised to illustrate the maximum number of boat slips as defined by DES that are allowable on the frontage. Any areas where pavement is removed should be replanted. And the remaining pavement, after it's cut down in size, needs to have treatment provided before the runoff goes into the river. The roof runoff on the addition should receive some treatment and recommends rain gardens to accomplish that treatment. So those are the comments from the Conservation Commission.
so we have, who do we have here?
Good evening.
Hello.
My name's Tim Peliquin. I'm a licensed land surveyor. My company is Promised Land Survey. And here with me is Scott Buckland, the landowner of record. And so I was not present on September 29th that day for the site walk. However, I did receive the notes from Patty and from the owner. So I'm quite privy to what was discussed.
Okay.
As you know, we were with you all in earlier September, I believe, for a Conservation Commission meeting here where we discussed this. It was moved to a site walk. There was certain concerns. And we're here tonight believing that we've addressed the concerns, and I'm willing to go over those or wanting to go over those with you. So, do I have to have that mic or can I
You
do
can
it?
push it, yeah, you're fine.
All right.
Fine.
So, basically, what we're proposing is what I have highlighted in yellow here, which is there's a proposed addition, a decking, and a garage, basically, onto the house, which is within that 50 to 100 feet zone. So, as a result, there has to be, well, I don't want to say there has to be, but there's give and take here, right? So there was a lot of impervious surface heading down to the river, and that was viewed on the sidewalk and such. I do want to say that we have secured shoreline protection permit, but we still have to go through you, still have to get to the planning board. So there's refining of this plan. This plan as is, without these highlights or without these revisions, was approved by the NHDES. However, as a result of the site walk, we're proposing to narrow the pavement. These are the basics that are very important, I think, to you all, to 14 feet within that 50-foot buffer. So we're proposing that to be from closer to 19, actually much wider than 19 at
Right.
places, but we've already negotiated that out with the shoreline protection, in other words, removal of that, but we've removed it even more, down to 14 feet, because you all asked for one truck or trailer. So we thought really 14 feet is reasonable. 12 feet's a little bit narrow for maneuverability for a trailer. So we're hoping 14 feet is satisfactory. And then additionally, right along the river's edge, and you can see this, I think I have that detail on sheet 1. We have, you'll see the note there, it says porous asphalt detail on sheet 1. So on sheet 1, you can see a detail, which is right here, which is basically a porous pavement detail. We're proposing 2 inches of porous pavement or equivalent, which is an expensive component, but nonetheless, we think it's reasonable because it's gonna catch, the runoff before it hits the river, for the most part. And within that would have 18 inches, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong detail. It would have a single-size aggregate of stable paving surface below that. Large single-size crushed stone with 40% plus or minus voids below that, and then the native surface below that. So there is a catchment area on the, going back and forth through these plans, we had to work with what we had, so I apologize, because there's so much detail on this, but at least it's clearly noted to see sheet 1 for this detail. So there's a detail of 10 feet by 14 feet of porous pavement before it hits the river. So in addition to bringing that down to 14 feet, we're proposing this porous pavement. The next important thing to note is you guys asked for, and rightfully so, the roof drains to be constructed and allow for retention. I think you've mentioned rain gardens, but we feel it's better to put, again, we'd have to turn to sheet 1, but there's a structure here that you see on sheet 2 of 162.5 and 163. It's a small, essentially rain garden, but it's a bioretention basin, and again, it says the see detail on sheet 1, and that's in this upper right corner of sheet 1 where there's a typical retention basin area that the owner would need to construct in unison with this approval, where there's a small area that would allow for the under drain of
This one.
both roof lines to come in through a perforated pipe to the under drain. This is a typical detail that you would see, and that detail is there, and I'd be glad to answer any questions as you might want as to that bioretention area, but that is proposed to catch as a catchment area for the roof drains and tied in. Additionally, you asked for the greenhouse to be relocated or to be removed or raised, and we have a clear note on the plan that would be a condition of any approvals that the greenhouse is to be relocated outside the inner 50-foot area. I do want to note that that greenhouse is really a minor greenhouse. It's not anything substantial, so that's not a, if the commission saw that on their site walk, it's nothing substantial, but nonetheless, we're offering and proposing to move that outside the area, conditional to any approvals. So those are the basics. Perhaps I'm going to pause now because you all might have some questions, obviously, and we'll do our best to answer.
Probably Collis understands. I can see that where the roof drains drain into this retention basin, but I guess I just didn't understand the drain here is at the bottom of the ramp, right, to go into the water?
This is not at the bottom of the ramp. It's somewhere, it's approximately at least 30 feet from the water, or like 40 feet from this shoreline, maybe 28 feet approximately from this shoreline, I would guesstimate by scale from the water. So
Oh, I see, so that's part of the garden retention pond?
that's correct.
Okay, all
As
right.
part of the roof drains, yes.
But then the material, it looks as though you have broken up the solid asphalt at the bottom of the ramp, I'm gonna call it a ramp. And you said change that to,
A porous pavement, basically, it's a pavement that absorbs water. It's about 4 times the expense of a regular pavement. I think Mr. Adams could perhaps vouch for that. It's an expensive pavement, but it allows water to absorb within it. And then beneath that is stone and other things that will help to absorb that water before it filters.
Is it filtering it too?
Yes, so it allows the water to move down through the
Slowly,
pavement, down
Be-
into the underlying receiving soils,
okay,
which is where it receives treatment,
okay,
before it either gets to the groundwater or laterally out to the surface
Okay.
water, so.
It literally will halt a clear runoff to the water, which I think was a concern. And so that's our proposal on the table that we think is very reasonable.
okay. All right, are there any questions from our other Conservation Commission on the phone?
I don't know if they can hear. Did anyone have any questions that's on the phone right now from Conservation?
No, this looks much, the Gene Walker, this looks much better, and it looks like they took most of the suggestions that we made from the site walk. I know Collis had made some about the driveway, the ramp, and that's been taken care of, and also the collecting from runoff from the roof by the porch. That looks like that might be better too. I don't know if anybody else has any comments.
Yeah,
Colin?
I'd like to comment. I think they did a good job addressing our concerns.
Yeah, it looks like,
You know, the porous pavement, the rain garden, they're all good sound engineering practices, and it looks like they've been designed appropriately. The only thing I'm not seeing on here, maybe you can point it to me, is we asked for a calculation of boat slips.
I have that right here. Sorry,
So
didn't get
that's
it
a
to you. I attempted to get
separate
it to you today,
discussion.
and I failed.
I was hoping that wouldn't come up. No, I'm just kidding.
So I found this on the state's website.
You might hand it out a little.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
It looks like we're allowed up to 4. I've never had 4 boats in my yard ever.
thank you. Boat slips, oh, wow, off the land, they're saying you have,
4 slips.
okay, so it looks like you own 3 lots, or 4 lots.
No, that's just a diagram, the halfway down the page. It says limit on boat slips, shoreland frontage. We are 250 feet
Okay.
almost.
All right,
It looks like we're allowed, according to the
249.91.
website, 225 to 299, 4 slips.
okay,
So to be clear, on the diagram, the 2 arrows that are pointing to those slips would not be counted because they extend over the property lines extended, so the 4 slips are the ones to the right and the ones to the left.
That was just a generic picture from the state website showing that they didn't want,
Right,
and you basically putting a slip in the butter's property.
right, you can't do that, yeah. So the 4 you're talking about, these 2 and then these 2. I'm sorry, you can't see that on TV, but the 2 on Lot C and the 2 on Lot A.
How many do you have there actually?
Basically enough for 2.
So he has 2 as it exists. We just want to be clear on that, but it would appear by DES standards, based on this excerpt that Mr. Buckland has found through the DES website, would suggest, based on the frontage of the water, that he be allowed 4 boat. But he has 2. Mr. Buckland, and this isn't germane to this discussion, but owns a boat company, so, but he's not looking to,
I don't want
Do
them
it.
at home.
this is his home and
Yeah.
his, but nonetheless, I just
That would
wanted
be
to
a
be
whole
clear.
separate discussion. I don't have anything further. I'd like to,
no, I think the only question I had is, there was discussion about, I'm only, I wasn't on the site walk, I just know that it was concerned before about the greenhouse. Do you have another area? And you're saying it's minimal little house, on the other hand, is that something that
And
could be moved?
We're
out?
suggesting that it's to be moved, period, outside that 50-foot.
Okay,
So we've made a notation on the plan. He hasn't decided where it is gonna go, if or to be raised.
We
okay,
haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
okay. But that is then,
Yes,
that he is
it's a clear
agreeing
notation
that
on
he's
the
definitely
plans.
going to go.
Yes.
so I think they've addressed our concerns. I commend them for working cooperatively with us. We really appreciate it. The environment appreciates it. I think we're doing a good thing.
You know, I
For the-
think,
And the eagles and all the other stuff you enjoy down there.
Yeah.
and I'm actually going to say for the record, I think you're going to enjoy your lot much more, because it'll be more aesthetically pleasing to you.
It looks like a mall parking lot right now.
I know, and I think you're gonna find it very beautiful. And then I was also thinking, wow, four boats would be a bit much to look at too, but now if you're down, then, yeah, it's gonna be a very lovely sight.
Thank
And I hope you feel that this was worth the effort, because I think it's done a nice job. So,
We need to make a recommendation to planning.
yes, we need a motion. Can I get a motion from one of our conservation people?
Susan Tucker, so moved.
Gene Walker, second.
So move,
What are you motioning, Sue?
Susan, what are you
To
motioning?
accept the plan as presented.
To re- you,
Plan as,
to recommend the plan as presented to the planning board?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and we have
Or you recommend granting the relief of the outer 50 feet?
Susan?
It's part of the plan.
Okay.
Okay, is there
It
anything?
just, because I don't do the minutes too, so the person needs to hear the motion that you're doing for the minute, the person does the minutes.
Okay,
So,
so, do you want to state the,
are you making a motion to recommend the relief of the outer 50 feet as the plan presented to the planning board? Is that what you're,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and it was seconded by Gene Walker.
okay.
Okay, so with that, we're going to have a roll call vote. Gene Walker,
Yes.
Amy Polak,
Yes.
Chuck Freiberger. Okay, David Neiman,
Yes.
thank you. Susan Tucker,
Yes.
Andrew Chaplin,
Yes.
all right, Evelyn Miller, yes. And you don't vote.
Yeah, and you need to appoint Andrew as voting where Karen is not here.
Oh, all right, Andrew Chaplin is voting as our, Karen McCray is not here.
Yeah, as the voting alternate.
Oh, yeah, voting alternate, okay. Okay, well,
Okay,
that passed, it's then
Thank
going
you.
on to the planning board, is that correct?
Yep, I'll pass on that they recommended it. They'll get the comments before you go to them on the 12th.
okay, terrific.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
How
much.
come Collis doesn't get a vote?
He's the selectman rep.
I feel bad.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Are
you, folks.
these plans something that you wanna take with you?
Yeah, I'll keep them.
Okay, you'll keep them.
Yeah, unless you want one. but-
No,
Terrific. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Appreciate all your time, thank you.
Well,
Good evening.
okay, it will be a beautiful lot.
It will be. Come down anytime. It sounds like you can bring a boat. Thank you, guys.
Okay, next on our agenda, sorry, I'm having, what the heck did I do with my agenda? Is
No, that's it. Okay.
Joseph Morrill III. It's a lovely name. Applicant owner and Mark and Joanne Gamache. Simon, this is a whole bunch of Simon and Seville Simeonists. These owners are seeking a variance to allow disturbances within the inner 50 feet of the Wetland Surface Water Conservation District. The applicant is requesting to install a drainage structure along the properties to allow the treatment of runoff from the roadway through the properties and into Glen Lake, along with associated improvements. This concerns section, wow,
You don't need to read all that.
okay, this concerns a section. And where am I there? All right, the applicant is also requesting relief from the outer 50 of the WSWC district to allow for the drainage structures and associated improvements impact within the outer 50 of the buffer. This concerns section 13.3.4 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The properties are located at 178 Elm Street, map 36, lot 79, 118 Elm Street, map
180.
Huh?
180.
180, sorry. map 36, lot 17, and Elm Street, map 36, lot A-OS zoned residential and wetland surface water conservation district overlay. Recommendations need to be forwarded to the planning board and the zoning board. Okay, do we have somebody presenting this?
Yes. My name is Jake Dorfler. I'm with Geo Insight in Manchester, and I'm here with owner of Lot 3679, Joseph Morrow III. Last you saw this plan, I guess a quick little review. So we came to you with this as an after-the-fact permit. It was a misunderstanding where pipes and drainage structures were installed without going through the proper channels through the board. So that's what brought us here in the first place. And you had asked, mainly, your main concern was for us to remove anything out of the 50-foot buffer. However, I found a mistake in my plan, and my shoreline reference line was incorrectly shown. So making it more accurate, it makes it impossible to remove the plunge pool due to the grade difference and the abutting neighbor's timber retaining wall and shed. So from the previous plans, we've made a few different changes for treatment. We've taken the existing structure that Joseph installed to, collect sediment and debris, any trash that comes off of Elm Street. We've adapted that to a flow-through water quality unit, which will have two chambers, approximately 3 feet from the bottom of pipe. And the first chamber will catch sediment, and it'll have a baffle system in the middle, which will overflow clean water out the other side. And then, similar to what we had previously, we have at the end of it mainly a dissipation level spreader plunge pool to prevent any erosion down below. And just to make sure I cover everything. Yeah, that's basically the changes. I mean, a couple of smaller changes. We've added the town drain line and easement that runs down the abutter's property. But those are the main changes. For details, I have, I've added a typical trench detail for areas that have not yet been installed. Obviously, I think it would not do justice to rip up the pipes to make sure it's done. So anything that's not already backfilled will be done to the trench detail specs. And also brought up by DPW, there was possible concern with the pipe moving over momentum down in the lower section where it turns to a 45 and out the retaining wall, the existing retaining wall that will be rebuilt. There was concern that the momentum flow will push the pipe or move it. So what we've proposed is basically a concrete encasement of that corner, so that to prevent it from moving in any of the directions, whether it's towards the wall, down the slope, or any of those. But yeah, those are our basic changes. And like I said, updating the location of the reference line pushes the 50-foot buffer back far enough where it's not feasible to get our plunge pool out of that.
Can I just, to give some history, they came back in, I believe it was in August, is when you came in, was it August?
I believe so, yeah.
In August, and they came in with the shoreline permit. It was an after the fact. At that time, they learned that because of the disturbances, they needed to go to planning and to the zoning board as well. And they came here first, and it was recommended that he meet with Sarah, our DPW engineer, and that he's done that. He's met with her, and she has had comments back and forth, and he has since addressed all her comments. So this is where he is after meeting with town staff, and he'll be going to the zoning board and planning next month.
And as far as I'm aware, I had the shoreline put the project on hold because of everything that we were doing here. I didn't want them to have a completely different plan set than what you guys are looking at. So I had them put it on hold. They were actually, they said it was, DES, Shoreland Bureau, by the email I received, they would have accepted it the way it was. So this is only gonna better, make them more happy. And I plan to have a shoreline permit, or I hope to have a shoreline permit prior to going to planning or zoning. So I sent them the updated plans, and
So it's my understanding you've addressed all of DPW's engineering
Mhm,
concerns
yep.
adequately, and they're happy with the plan as it's been revised? and
Yes,
updated to
Sarah,
this point?
yes, Sarah sent an email,
Yeah,
saying that
you
we've
should have a
addressed
copy of it.
all of her comments.
That's, yeah. Actually, you probably have that right
Yeah,
there.
it should be in front of you.
Yeah. Carlos, did you hear? You've got the emails in
Yeah,
front of you.
yeah. I just had one comment.
Okay. And,
Note number 7, I'm not real comfortable with. Says it's gonna be inspected after sizable storm events. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know what a sizable storm event is, and it says it's gonna be cleaned as necessary. I don't know what as necessary is either. I mean, those are really soft terms. Usually they talk about a half-inch storm event, or 1-inch storm event, or some sort of designed storm event. So I think we need to be a little more specific with this, because sizable is
Okay,
up for interpretation depending on who's
sure,
reading it.
sure. I do have a note on the detail for the
Oh, you do? Okay.
water quality inlet that states that when sediment is greater than 6 inches in depth,
Okay.
that should be removed. Yeah, I can update a note specifying,
Yeah, what sizable, what the storm event is that?
I can, if you want, I know you're with the DES, is that correct?
Not anymore.
Okay, but, they, like you said, they use the half-inch
Yep.
rainfall event, we could use those same standards.
First half inch around,
Yep.
yeah. Great.
I also wanna note that, Sarah is requiring a drainage maintenance agreement because of where it's gonna be through, between private property owners, that they're responsible for maintaining it.
So she's recommending that to the planning board. That's not
Yes,
something you
yeah.
want us to do. Okay.
And she
Well, you
has,
can.
sorry, excuse me. She's already, I've already talked to her about the wording because this particular project doesn't, it's a little bit different than your standard wording for what you guys have for, what Town of Goffstown has for a drainage, agreement. And she has agreed to the wording I have in here. I do have one copy if you would like to see it, if it's necessary, but, no, okay.
As long as it's in the file and
Yep.
DPW is agreeable to it.
Okay, now do we have any questions from our Conservation Commission?
Yeah, Susan Tucker here.
Okay,
And I have a question as to why the plunge pool is still in the inner 50-foot. Why was that not moved into the outer 50-foot?
and he is describing that before, but he'll go through it
Sure.
one more time.
Yep,
No,
so.
I know, I heard the explanation, but I know the town has been involved, but it is still in the inner 50, and it seems like there must be some space to deal with that road runoff in an
Well-
appropriate manner without being in the inner 50.
Okay, he'll explain where, he'll go on it. Why don't you go ahead and give us an explanation?
So, obviously, like I already said, there's a retaining wall, the neighbor's retaining wall, and then his shed that's right on top of that. And so that's why we can't push it back any further on their property, and if we were to push it back, this is very narrow area here, and if we were to push it back, leaving it on Joseph's property, my concern would be that you have such a distance from the plunge pool to the water that there could be potential erosion issues there. And this wall is approximately a 2-foot retaining wall, lower on the abutter side, so water, naturally, the way the water was flowing originally, water's flowing over that wall, my concern would be erosion from anything coming out of the plunge pool. And being that it's on the lower side, the grade is much less steep there and a much shorter distance to the water. I wasn't as concerned.
Okay, so I think her big question though was why you couldn't put it back further in between, say, into the next, I'm gonna call it zone, you know, not the 50-foot area, but the area that's 50 feet to 100 feet.
Right, so here is that retaining wall.
Okay,
So, and here is the line. So the line basically goes right through the retaining wall. The 50-foot line goes right through the retaining wall. And obviously, we can't put it up here because that's where the neighbor's shed is. And I wouldn't feel comfortable putting the plunge pool on the other side, having the water flow down into his shed.
okay. So that retaining wall, existing landscape timber retaining wall, so this is obviously a terraced piece of property.
Yes.
And how high is that
That retaining wall, I believe, is closer to 3 feet. Joe, do you know?
It's about that.
Okay. So Susan, are you understanding what, the explanation?
I do understand that, but isn't there a way that you could put the plunge pool up where the gathering spot is? It's called what is it called on the map? Up higher.
Are you
And
talking
then you
about?
have that track, whatever it is, it collects the trash from the road.
You're talking about
That's high?
you're talking about up by the water quality inlet?
Yeah, and then move the water quality inlet up higher, closer to Elm Street.
So my concern with that is when water flows out of the plunge pool, is that now you'll have close to 75 feet of travel that would make it to the lake, and that was what kind of got this started in the first place, because the runoff would erode the property, and he was constantly fixing it. So my concern, he would be ending up in the same situation that he was in prior to all of this.
So as the plunge pool fills, doesn't it empty slowly, that it could be a sheet flow on down, natural flow on down to the lake? So it could be being treated as it moves that way too?
Yes, yes, it should dissipate the flow and ideally flow out slowly. But on larger storm events, we're not, it's potential for water flowing out of there. But, the grade is fairly steep, between the 50 and the 100. And between the reference line and the 50-foot buffer is fairly flat and is less concerning.
And she also should note that the plunge pool also has a level spreader, which is used to take those concentrated flows and spread them out into sheet flow, so that you get better sheet flow across the land and the ground, as opposed to a concentrated flow. So we'll be seeing erosion and.
So,
and an
So I
opportunity-
guess the problem, another concern of mine is that this plunge pool is going to need to be maintained.
right,
Yes.
And if it's not maintained, then we have the gas and the oil, whatever's coming off
Elm Street.
Elm Street is going to be flowing right into the lake, because if it silts up or it gets weeds in it, and I think we find as Conservation Commission that homeowners do not do a good job of maintaining some of these structures. And then we'll have the pollutants going right into Glen Lake. And
You couldn't get
that's not
leaves in there.
Question, do you have an inspection and maintenance plan as part of the DPW submission?
It will be required for him to inspect and maintain all devices and keep it for record, but as far as a specific form, no. He's-
So,
And that gets back to my comment on my concern with comment 7, or note 7, I'm sorry, it
Right.
talks about sizable storms as necessary. Those would be addressed in the stormwater management plan.
okay, but the stormwater management plan, is that going to be someone from the DPS is gonna check on that? Or are you, it's the landowner that's supposed?
Yes, yep, yeah, it's It's a maintenance agreement, he signs a maintenance agreement with the town, and he keeps his own records so that if there happens to be a problem, he has all the records showing his dates of inspections, what he does.
I've already been doing the clean out that I added.
And I should add, though, oil was mentioned. I believe there's enough space on Elm Street that any oil from Elm Street would, before it even enters the pipe, I don't believe that any oil will make it even there. And if it does, the water quality inlet will help that, and there should be no debris, because the water quality inlet also will take care of.
Okay, I guess, and, I understand that you've been very diligent about cleaning this.
Yep.
There may come a day when you're not going to be around and somebody else is going to own the property, and then the question is, because it looks to me like this is a very important drainage system that needs to be addressed, that you make sure that you do clean that. And so I think,
A drainage maintenance agreement gets recorded at the registry of deeds and stays with the property.
okay, but then that's assuming that the next owner is going to be as diligent as he
It would
is.
run with the land. It would run with the land and any other future owners.
So if you're having a problem,
They're always,
then you can go
Go
after
after
him.
them.
So it has to be made very clear that if there is a problem, then what, are they liable, or what comes out of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we've got a maintenance agreement in place and they're not abiding by it, then we've got grounds for enforcement action to go in and take enforcement.
So, and grounds for enforcement action would be the DES moving in there, or?
The town, you notice there is a easement to the town, so that the town, if there is a problem, could always go in over that easement that is dedicated to the town now.
Mhm.
If they aren't maintaining it, the town could maintain it.
Okay.
Enforce the provisions of the maintenance agreement.
I
And-
guess I only wanted to make that clear, that as a landowner, that you understand the agreement that you're getting into,
And any future owner.
and any future owner. So that definitely is on the deed then that will be something that'll be, if I would think, pressed on the future owners.
Yeah, so the maintenance agreement that we have, will, basically it will say that, he's responsible, and I think my understanding is the town will say, hey, you gotta do something about this, and if they don't, the town has, jurisdiction to go in, fix it themselves at the homeowner's cost.
At the homeowner's
Yeah.
expense.
Right.
Right,
So,
so if it's not working, then the homeowner, the town would come in,
Yeah.
probably deal with it, but they would charge the homeowner at his expense.
Yeah, I mean, what you want to do is look at the language in the easement. And I assume that DPW did look at that,
yes,
because that would, explain why the easement is there, the purpose of the easement, what it
Well,
allows.
and they do this on a lot of properties. They get an easement and they get a drainage maintenance agreement.
Okay, okay, I just want, okay, Susan,
Hi, this is Amy. I would like to
Okay.
add that I agree with Susan, and I've seen these plunge pools fail, and in fact, been ripped out after the fact just because of either lack of maintenance or they fill with standing water. Standing water, you can then get mosquitoes, plants, whatever. I have no idea what vegetation's around here, if it'll fill up with leaves this time of year, et cetera. Was anything else considered?
no, when we first ran into this, when I first got on board with this project, it was through shoreland only, and their main concern was to make sure that, there wasn't high velocity flow going into the lake. So, they actually were one of the people that recommended a plunge pool. I'm not sure. It needs to get, I think ideally it needs to get to the lower side, of that wall to prevent any, erosion of the wall or on top of the wall. So, as far as another device down there, I guess in short, to answer your question, no, there were no other options for the end of the pipe considered.
I'm
I
gonna,
mean, I appreciate Susan and Amy's concerns, I really do, and I'm glad they're bringing them forward, but however, I'm still sensitive to the fact that, we said to the property owner through our DPW, do this, 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 and this, and they did this, 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 and this. For us to now go back and say, no, wait a minute, you gotta redesign it, because we now don't like it, that's not fair.
Right.
I will also add, you know, if the town is concerned with, you know, potential filling up with leaves based off of trees or not being maintained, this is a town drainage line, so you know, hypothetically, they will see this more often than another, you know, another homeowner who put in this, because they have to inspect their own pipes. So they should, be more aware of what.
So the town's drainage runs along it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you, Collis, but this is Amy again, but I would just like to add that, well, if we can get this on record, maybe we could prevent this happening again in the future, that, you know, the DPW doesn't make recommendations without looking at and referencing all sources, you know, before they do to the property owner, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Did that make sense? I'm sorry, Amy, it did make sense, but I just, will, that got in the minutes?
Yeah, which
Or it'll
I
be
don't do
part
in
of-
minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. It should be part of a motion.
When you make a recommendation to the you make a recommendation to the ZBA and to the planning board, you can make a recommendation however you choose.
All right,
I wasn't making a recommendation. I was just saying that this should just get captured. I understand the DPW stated this is what they wanted the homeowner to do, but I'm just saying this should get captured in the minutes going forward, for record, just that, you know, this isn't ideal, essentially.
Yeah, I think it is getting captured, I think.
Yep.
I mean, the minutes will reflect it
Yes.
okay.
When she does the minutes.
in the discussion that ensued.
Okay, so, do we have any more questions about the plan? And, all right,
Yeah,
no,
and I think it's worth noting that now this property owner is aware of the fact that there are certain local and state requirements, so they've now been put on notice that in the future, you know, you can't say, I didn't know,
right,
I did the best I could. That won't work again.
so I think, you know, we're saying that if this is approved, that you wanna make sure that you maintain that, your plunge pool, and that you won't be doing something else without going through proper channels. Although I think, again, there was a lot of confusion between the town and you. But and I think our minutes are gonna reflect that we're saying to the
Yeah,
town that they
she'll
have
put
to make sure they go through proper you know, too, rather than just making the suggestion. Okay, is there anybody else that wants to make comment? Or
Well,
do,
this is Sue Tucker.
yeah.
I have two more comments. This whole plan is really disturbing to me because we're trying to clean up the Merrimack River, the Scattaqua River. We're trying to do things that have never been done before because there were no regulations. People dumped sewage in, they dumped drainage in. And this is, in this day and age, this should not have happened. We have regulations protecting the 100-foot setbacks off our river and off our lake, and we really protect that inner 50. We understand people have been able to build their houses there in years past, but we really have worked hard to protect the inner 50, to protect the water quality in this body of water. And we're gonna, I cannot approve this recommendation because I think we're just stepping back, going backwards. We're not doing our job, is what I'm gonna say, as a Conservation Commission, to try to protect the water quality in this lake and in this river on down to the Merrimack by allowing these things to happen. So I'd like that comment because I am going to vote against this. I just think there's another way. It may be more expensive. It may be more difficult. But I think there is another way of treating runoff from highways before they get into our water bodies.
Okay, and again, I appreciate that, Susan, but those comments need to go to the town of Goffstown, because this is an existing
Exactly.
town infrastructure, not the property owners. This is the town of Goffstown's drainage system. So the town of Goffstown is responsible for these catch basins contributing directly to the lake, so I'm trying to find some.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well,
This is Jane Walker. I don't feel that they should have gone within a 50-foot. They should have, the DPW should have known that that is protected, and that we've put a lot of money into milfoil. We've done a lot to keep that lake, and it just seems like they should have been aware of the inner 50 and made another recommendation. I don't think anybody heard me.
no, we did.
We
I
heard
think we all agree
Yes,
with you.
yes.
I think,
I agree with you.
I think the problem is
It's our pipe.
what?
It's our pipe, the town's pipe,
Right,
that's causing the problem.
right. So it would be, I think they're asking us to make comment on a town problem that is a problem for this landowner. And I guess we understand what you're saying, but what Collis is saying is we should be talking to the town, and they should be putting in, recommending that they put in an expensive, do something
I
else.
guess what I said felt that we shouldn't have to do something that we don't believe in because DPW made a different judgment than they probably should have made.
Do you have any idea how long ago this drainage system
I
went
was
in?
wondering. I don't know.
I don't know.
Over 10 years.
So over 10 years, they should have known, because we still had, we had designated prime wetlands, we had done all kinds of stuff that was protecting waterways. And
Susan Tucker again. I'm just going to say one more thing. I'm saying our charge as a conservation commission is to protect these water bodies and our natural resources. Planning board can make their decisions however they make their decisions, but I think our charge in our charter is to protect. And by voting to approve this, we're not protecting our resources.
Well, so then the question is that something that we go to that we recommend? I know.
You can take them separately too. You can do because the planning board addresses the outer buffer, and the ZBA is gonna address the inner buffer. I'm sure they'll both overlap and discuss, the whole drainage system. But you can do it in two parts. You can make a recommendation. It will get forwarded to them. They are ultimately it's the zoning board that approves it, the variance for the inner buffer, and the planning board approves the relief of the outer buffer.
And then you're also saying DES has looked at all this.
And the shoreline.
But we could also come back with conservation our comment is that we're very unhappy with what's happening, and the town we feel should rectify this and pull the plunge pool out of the 50-foot. I mean, I know, but what do you think, Collis?
Well, I mean, you step back and look at the big picture. Right now, we've got a direct discharge to the lake. No treatment, no nothing whatsoever. End of pipe discharge straight into Glen Lake. We're trying to make some incremental improvement to the situation.
And I might add to that, the pipe's not in great shape.
The pipe itself?
Yeah, the town. So, I mean,
Yeah, but you're not gonna replace any of the pipe.
no.
Yeah.
But what's interesting too is when you're talking about this timber retaining wall, that timber is not gonna last forever. I mean, at some point, that's gonna have to be dug up and redone anyway, or are they planning on maybe taking care of that when they're in there doing another thing?
That's not in the plan. Right now,
Saying? I mean, as long as you're gonna be mucking up that stuff. Okay. I'm sorry, go on.
Right now, Joe has an agreement with, basically in lots 36, 78, and the other owners of AOS, basically stating that he's responsible for the drainage on their site. So, I mean, his agreement with them is with the drainage items, and I don't feel like he should rebuild that retaining wall.
I find I'm having a problem with the idea that this is a town pipe, and they're putting in a plunge pool, but they're expecting the landowner to be responsible for cleaning it out. I'm sorry, but it's,
There might be a confusion.
There's
there might be
drainage
confusion.
running along is the town. They have drainage going along
So,
it.
2 catch basins on the far side of Elm Street drain to a drainage manhole on the neighbor's property, which then continues down and discharges basically at water level. Joe is dealing with water from this side of Elm Street, because there's no catch basin on that side. And that originally was running down his stone wall and eroding the property. So, obviously misunderstanding, later, he put in these drain pipes to capture the water and prevent that future erosion. And that's when Shoreline got involved. So his water is coming through here, and then he has an agreement to put the plunge pool on his neighbor's property.
wow,
So it's not collecting,
okay.
it's not
So
collecting.
the water from the other side of the street won't be filtered, the water on my side
Right.
will
Right.
be.
So the town's drainage pipe is not being filtered at all. That's going directly into Glen Lake without treatment.
Correct.
I mean, a little bit
And you're saying does that town pipe, is that in not good shape? Is that what
last
you're
I looked at it, it wasn't in great shape.
It's falling, it's,
Is it-
yeah, it's not great.
Well-
I've told them before, but
Will this help the town's drainage system or not at all? Because it's a different
No,
path.
it's still gonna keep draining in there.
Okay.
So I don't know, did the rest of the commission follow what was said?
I mean, when this whole thing started with my drain, the Public Works Department wanted me to sue my neighbor, to have them combined or something, which I was not willing to do, obviously.
Boy, this is a mess. Did the rest of the commission understand what we were just told? There are 2 pipes running down there. There's one that is collecting water from the far side of Elm Street, and and this one is the town pipe, and it's running straight down into Glen Lake untreated. Then the water that is sheeting off of Elm Street onto Joseph Morrell's property has been eroding away, and so his land, so then he, 10 years ago, talked with the highway department, and they suggested putting in another pipe that would then not, but at that time, were they even treating it? They were just,
I'm the one that put in the clean out by myself.
okay, so then they suggested putting in another pipe and probably were telling it just to whiz down to the lake too, and so then Joseph Merrill then put in a treatment pipe, and now you're looking to put in the plunge pool to improve it.
Well, we're gonna adapt what he has already put in to collect trash and debris into something that will give more area for fines to settle out and a better.
It's a good system. It traps all leaves, trash, and glass and all that.
I don't doubt it, it looks like a real mess to me, but anyway. So the Conservation's Commission is, our responsibility is to come up with some kind of recommendation or statement that is then going to go to the planning board and the ZBA. This is not going to the DES, because they've already been dealing with it.
You can submit it to DES too, if you wanna.
Okay. And you know,
Who would go, like Shoreland again?
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
there
they can submit comments to Shoreline.
Oh, okay.
They've done that in the past.
so,
So I think one of the problems with the plan is I think it's fairly clear what it's doing to address runoff from his property. You look at the 12-inch HDP pipe at the top, then it comes down, there's another 12-inch HDPE, there's another 8-inch HDPE, there's a 4-inch PVC inlet. All of this stuff goes into the water quality inlet before it comes down and gets discharged into the plunge pool level spreader. What's not clear is what happens to the existing drain line that comes down, and now it's just shown running through that plunge pool and level spreader. How does that line get into there?
The line is underneath.
Same.
It's beneath the plunge pool.
It
Oh, it's
doesn't,
okay, it's going.
It's
under.
beneath
it's-
the, yes,
it's beneath.
it's beneath the
Okay,
plunge pool.
that clarifies it.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
so what
The
we're
town
really,
and, the town's water and mine have no,
That,
Right.
that,
no
that
connection.
clarifies it.
They'll be
That's
completely
fine.
separate.
Yep,
that's it. So
Stay
what we're
completely
saying is
separate.
your water, so Conservation Commission that's listening, the water that Mr. Morrell is treating is actually being well treated before it gets to the lake.
his water, if you will.
His water, that's what I mean. The water coming from the town across the road is not being treated, but that's not his water and that's not
Right.
this,
That's the
so-
town's water.
I only take care of the even side.
right. So he's really, and I think that in dealing with the town, this has presented I know you wanted the plunge pool out of the 50 feet, but the water that is coming down on Mr. Merrill's property is being well treated at different places before it even gets to the plunge pool.
Correct.
So both pipes run into the pool at the bottom, the slush pool?
No,
No,
Towns doesn't run into anything.
the town goes directly from the drainage manhole, towards the
All-
top of the plan, directly to the water.
all the way to Glen Lake. It doesn't touch Mr. Morrill's plunge pool at all.
Correct.
Yeah, the plunge pool will be above.
Right.
Yeah, so
It runs underneath.
that clarifies a lot for me.
Whoa. So, I mean, the truth is, we can still make a comment to the city, that the town, that they need to do something
No.
about, yeah,
The water running into the slush pool is town water and not,
no,
No,
Well, I guess technically, because it's coming from the right-hand side of
well,
Elm Street, but I mean,
the town's water goes underneath the plunge pool subterraneously
yes.
and then
Right.
discharges to the lake, untreated.
untreated.
that, yes, not Mr. Merrill's water. His water that is coming down
It's treated.
is all treated. This,
So
yes.
it would be appropriate for us to comment to the town, by the way, we understand this drainage is in need of some repairs. When you do it, you need to look at treating that.
Oh, yeah.
Stop, you, town of Goffstown, stop discharging directly to the lake.
Yeah,
I'd like to add to that comment, Collis, because DPW has on a couple of occasions approached us asking us about what projects could we have
Yep.
in hand to use
Arm fund money.
mitigation funds
Ah.
for when something is done for wetland impact in town. If the town has something they can act on quickly, then those funds can be applied for mitigation efforts to improve something. This sounds like something that should be on their list.
Yeah, I agree with you, David, because the town does have a list of projects that they want to accomplish with these ARM fund monies, or other sources of monies, but we're talking about the ARM fund monies. This should be on that list.
oh, yeah.
And this may,
So,
this
so
may
I
be-
would,
and this
I
may
would
be-
like to request, regardless of what else we vote on, whatever the proposal says, that we also have a memo, a statement going to DPW and, you know, describing this and explaining that we think this should be on the mitigation list.
In fact, I would suggest we want to say this should be high on the mitigation list.
I think it should
because-
also go to the
Yeah.
selectmen too.
Right.
I really do think that, not just the DPW, but it's not your property we're talking now, we're talking about the other thing.
But this is why I put the clean out,
Yeah.
because I saw all the glass and everything else coming from the town, so my kids, play in the water. I didn't want the glass and all that stuff in there, that's why I put it in there.
Did you understand, Mr.
I got the comment, David, too. I'll do a memo to DPW and Select Board.
And the selectmen too, I really think so.
Yep.
So he did state that this is also being treated before it hits to the plunge pool, his pipe.
His is, yes,
So it's not all just hitting there. There are treatment
Right.
areas, so it's,
right.
okay.
I mean, I
Just
have
want
to
to clarify that, because it's,
That was-
there's some confusion
Actually,
on
this
the
is
phone.
very important to us, because I didn't understand all of this, and I think at least we've clarified what's going on a little bit more. Susan, and Jean, and Amy, have we clarified to you at least what is happening, which, you know, there's several pipes there, and one belongs to Mr. Merrill, and he's treating his water. The other belongs to the town, and they are doing nothing. They're just whizzing water and everything that's collected up on the street straight into the lake. We now have a proposal for a memo to go to the DPW about fixing their pipe and making it top of the list for projects to take on, and it'll also go to the selectmen. Do we have any other comments about Mr. Merrill now? And do we need to have, I think we need to have a motion to, comment as to what we wanna send, and people will vote the way they wanna vote.
Okay, this is Susan Tucker again.
Yep,
Since the water's off the north side of Elm Street, supposedly then we're gonna talk to DPW, or they are going to come up with a plan. Why is it not appropriate for the DPW to include in their plan Mr. Morrow's water from the south side, so he doesn't have to incur the cost of doing this special sponge pool and whatever cleaning, that the town should be taking care of the water from the south and from the north side of Elm Street.
okay.
And including that in their plan to treat both sides.
Okay, and Mr. Merrill has a comment. Yes,
When I first came to the water thing, when I went to Public Works, they offered to put in a drain system which would probably hook into the other one, but I would have to pay for it, and they said it was somewhere around $10,000. So I was not keen on paying the town $10,000 to have the town water not go through my property. That's why it went to the tubes. And also, for the record, I do care about the lake. I don't know if I'm the secretary now or the vice president of the Gun Lake Water Association for Milfoil. So it's not like I'm an evil guy here.
And
Nobody's implying that.
on that note, I mean, without being told to, he added the device to capture debris, glass, any of that. So, obviously, he doesn't want to pollute the lake.
no,
This is Jean Walker again.
Yes.
Oh, tell me something.
yes, Jean.
I don't think we should, this is the one complete plan for both sides. It's not just a part of one plan and then another plan. I think we have to see both plans for the water together and how it's going to be
No.
taken care of.
No, see, I don't think
The town's
the
not part of this.
town is not planning on doing anything. We just happen to have discovered through conversation here that the town's pipe is totally untreated. It just whizzes the water straight down these people's property.
And it's 100% separate from what Joseph Morrell's doing. On the plan, I just put the existing pipes so that the town staff and members know
What's going on.
where other drainage
Yeah.
devices are.
So our comment was that, and I think David brought this out, if the town is looking for a mitigation project, this would be number one on their list
Yep.
to use as a mitigation project and clean up their pipe and make sure they put in treatment for the water like Mr. Merrill has done on his side.
We accomplished that by sending a very strong memo to the select board saying, by the way, it's come to our attention, and we would like you to put this high on the list
Right.
of mitigation projects for consideration when
And if
grant
the-
money becomes
And if
available.
the town wants to put drainage out on the road, so no water comes onto my property, I will have no problem with that whatsoever.
Or,
No, we wouldn't.
I am sure.
so Jean, I'm
Yeah.
sending a memo
Yeah,
to the select board and to DPW as David requested. The drainage pipe for the town is not before you. It's the disturbances from the homeowner. The drainage pipe the town has been there for I don't know how long. That's not part of this. What's before you is the improvements that Mr. Morrell is making.
But
And
what we're discovering is,
it's not just his property, it's the town's
yeah, the
kind
town
of
really
created the
is,
issue too.
right.
so I would like to suggest that, we send the strong memo to DPW and the select board as just described to address the issues, to really fix them correctly.
Right.
In the meantime, I think that the effort from Mr. Morrell is to make an improvement. And I don't think that we should be standing in the way of that. I think that we should recommend that despite the fact that it's just inside the 50-foot buffer, which I also care about too. But it is an improvement and it will help with the erosion, and the water, at least
Is treated.
that he's addressing, is being treated, so it's an improvement, but we really need to pursue the town correcting the deficiencies from the other side of the road. And if they would stop so much of the runoff from going onto Mr. Morrow's property in the first place, that would also,
Well,
that should also be done.
I mean, I would say that if the town actually did eventually correct their problem, that they would be correcting the whole situation and not just relying on the, one abutter, that he's done his part, so it would seem to me that they'd look at this as a total thing, but for the present, Mr. Morrell, I think, is actually trying very hard to rectify a problem that's on his property, and he's trying to I think, not sensible, but he's concerned about the lake too. So,
So David, were you
Yeah, I mean,
making a
if we were talking
recommendation?
about an impact to the buffer, which was all about increasing development or something like that, then I would be very strongly opposed. In this case, yeah, it's going in the 50-foot buffer, but the intention is to improve the situation.
Right.
And God knows how long it'll be before the town actually does something. So at least having this incremental step in the meantime, it should be helpful.
Yeah, so the memo should go to the select board with a copy to the DPW director.
Okay.
okay.
So
Okay.
David, were you making a recommendation to
Was-
planning and ZBA?
Is that a motion, David?
I'm starting to write it.
David Neiman?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes, it's a motion.
That
Can you
is a
do, can you say it again? Motion
I
to,
doubt it.
I got the memo part to go to the select board and copy the DPW director, but you're recommending the impacts to the inner and outer buffer because it is an improvement to a existing condition? Is that
It's
it?
an improvement to an existing condition, addressing a problem that the town has failed to address. But making sure that the memo also gets sent to the select board and DPW to actually fix the underlying problems.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so now we have a motion on the floor. Do we have and this motion will be going to the, actually, it's going to be going to the planning board.
I'm gonna give
the
it to both
ZPAs,
boards.
and both boards, but
Yeah,
not,
and a memo to,
and a strong memo to the selectmen and the
Yeah.
DPS. Okay, this motion is on the floor. Do we have a second for that motion? No. I can second. Okay, Evelyn's going to second that motion. All right, how many are in favor of this?
You have to do a roll.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry, roll call. Okay, roll call. Gene Walker.
No,
All right, Amy Polak. I'm
This
se-
is a yay.
That's, it's a reluctant yay.
So yes.
Yes, I know, okay. Chuck Freiberger.
Yes.
Okay, David Neiman.
Yes, but it's also a reluctant yes, because I feel like this situation should have come about had the town reacted properly.
Well, I think that's it. I don't think we find the fault of, Mr. Merrill, it's the
Oh,
town.
no, I credit him for trying to address the situation.
Right, I think so. Okay, Susan Tucker.
No, and as a Conservation Commission member, I cannot vote for this.
Okay. Andrew Chaplin.
Yes, and I have the same sentiments as David.
And,
No, folks.
pardon me?
It's a yes or a no.
All right, and Evelyn Miller, and I'm voting yes. Okay, so how many, what is the,
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor with 2 noes.
2 abstentions? Or no, not
Noes.
there are noes.
Voted against
Okay.
the motion.
So.
So the motion
I think the
carries.
motion carries, we have the,
So I'll forward the comments to both boards, so they'll have it when you go to them.
okay. Mr. Merrill, I think it looks like you had been dealt a very difficult hand by the town years ago, and that you are trying to make the most of it, and I would hope that the town would come to, with a strong letter from us, that the town would come, not in too much time, meaning another year or so, to rectify this problem.
I have talked to the town many times. When I first moved in there, my neighbor's dock was wet at the end of the year when the water goes down. Now, because of all the dirt and everything, it's probably 10, 15 feet that's always dry now because of all the dirt.
The
And
stuff
it's-
that goes
From
flying.
from
in.
that-
Prior to,
Right,
Wow.
which was not my dirt, but,
Well,
yeah.
I assure you that we will be sending a very strong statement to the selectmen and the DPS, and they may hear more from us also. So, thank you very much, we appreciate this, and I think actually, again, reluctantly, members of the board are appreciating your work, but I think everybody's quite annoyed with the
I mean, I am too.
situation.
Before I even started this, I thought I did the right thing and I went to the right people.
okay, thank
oh,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much. Okay. Okay. Onward. Okay, that is, now we have, the minutes. Any corrections to the minutes?
You have both public, non-public in the minutes to correct.
Non-public?
Yeah, there was a non-public part too. They were mailed to you.
Okay. But are we gonna have the minutes first, the correspondence, then we'll do non-public? If you wanna do the non-public right now?
No, I'm saying you have non-public minutes that need to be approved.
Oh.
You can vote to approve them.
Sorry, okay.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the non-public minutes.
Is there a second? Thanks.
You too.
second it.
Okay, all those in favor, oh, sorry, roll call vote. Okay,
Do you wanna do them both, or are you gonna have corrections to the other one?
okay, are there any, okay, I'm sorry, now I understand.
You can do them both together if you want.
Okay, so, we have a motion, to accept the non-public minutes. Do we want to also add the minutes, our regular minutes to that motion?
Non-public. Yep.
Or, yes, but that's, we got,
David, did you wanna amend your motion to approve both sets of minutes?
Sure.
okay, so, all right, so Gene Walker,
Who's the second?
Yes,
Amy,
Yay.
Chuck?
He abstained.
Abstain, okay. David?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Susan?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yay.
Okay, and Evelyn's yes. Okay, the motion carries. All right, correspondence, shoreland protection, shoreland permit from Scott Butland, the copy of the Conservation Commission dues,
I do need a vote on
invoice.
that.
So we have to vote on that. We have, wow, dues are now $725, and we need a vote to pay this dues for the State Conservation Association. Do I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion, we approve the payment, and with the comment that serving on that board, I had no idea how much they actually do for us and for all the commissions of the state. They are our liaison to the legislature, to the administrative divisions of the state, and Barbara, the director, is incredible. Does an amazing job for us.
I think also if you've ever gone to any of their conferences, they really do a great job, I think, in educating, new and old members, and, yep, so they're doing an awful lot for this $725.
I'll second it.
Okay, Jean seconds it. All right, so roll call. Jean?
Yes.
Amy?
Yay.
Chuck?
Yes.
David?
Yes?
Susan?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
And Evelyn votes yes. So the motion carries, and we will pay the dues to the Conservation Commission for $725. Copy of the budget. Did you all get your copy of the budget? I think you can just look at that on your own. If there's any questions, and then sorry. All right, and then there's a copy of the registration for the conservation meeting in November 7, the annual meeting. You can look at that.
Okay, and I'd like to make a plug for that. I know it comes up every year, and we don't generally have much attendance from Goffstown, and I can understand that. This year, it's all going to be online through Zoom meeting. There's not going to be an in-person meeting, which, sad that you don't get to interact with people from the other towns. But on the other hand, there's some advantages to this approach.
Right.
It's going to be over with by noon. You don't have to get in your car and travel to it. And the biggest plus is all the presentations are going to be recorded. So anyone who signs up for the meeting will be able to attend those sessions they signed up for. But in addition to that, after the meeting, you'll have access to the recordings of all the events. So you don't have to pick and go, there's two at the same time. I wish I could go to both. Well, if you sign up, you'll get access to everything.
Okay. So signing up, I don't think I got an email about that. Have we gotten an email about this?
I forwarded a couple times, and I actually copied it. It's in your packet.
Oh, okay. So did you hear
Yeah.
Pat? Pardon me? Packet.
If you just go to the website, you can sign up for it there.
Okay,
Yeah, you can do it all online.
okay.
And you can get reimbursed, too, by the town.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then I think that just the Piscataqua news is in this. So, I think one thing we have to discuss is when we're gonna have our next meeting. Before we met, Patty and I were talking about, there's not much of anything, nothing has been submitted yet for, our next, for like the November meeting, and we looked at the dates. Well, Patty, do you wanna explain what you were saying there?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we don't wanna meet the day before things. I was just saying, you might wanna change, if you wanna meet in November, I was suggesting, November 18th, but I don't have anything coming in, and that's kind of like, kinda soon. I was thinking if you didn't wanna have a meeting in November, you could do that and just do an earlier meeting in December, cause again, your meeting would fall the week of Christmas. So if
Patty,
you,
let's the meetings, and then if nothing comes in, why don't we just cancel them?
well, I have to well,
Need- yeah.
you don't wanna do it, do you want me potentially do it for November 18th is what I'm asking?
Right, move it up to number 8, yeah, to 18.
And then, you could do also the December meeting, you could do the 9th or the 16th.
Yeah, we can meet on.
What does
different
anybody
days.
want?
I think we should meet once.
I think both
somewhere
those
between
dates
Christmas and
proposed are good.
Thanksgiving.
So
Yeah, okay.
Evelyn was thinking December 9th would be good to do in between, so you're hitting between November and December.
See,
Right, that,
Jean,
right.
actually,
Yeah.
Collis had the same idea that I had. Instead of, planning 2 meetings and canceling one, why don't we just have December 9th as our one meeting for the 2 months?
In the middle?
For November and December.
Yeah, it comes right in the middle of, kind of the 2
Yeah.
things. And that would take care of November and
Both of
December.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
do that.
okay,
And if something does come up, the chair can always call an additional meeting.
Yeah, if something comes in that needs it, I could
right,
reach you guys and
okay. Okay,
So, open
I-
space.
open space, do we have any, discussion or wanna fill us in on anything? Dick? Yeah,
Regarding the NHACC registration being reimbursed, do we need to vote on that or do we just submit the invoice?
You could submit the invoice. That, they do that standard for any volunteer, if you go to any of these, types of meetings that the town does reimburse you.
Okay.
Well, from your budget, but usually you don't approve it, like the zoning board goes to their annual meeting, it's one you belong to.
Yeah, but it's all online, so there's no cost.
I would,
Well, I think
Is-
there is a cost.
is-
Isn't there a cost, David?
For the online?
It's $35.
okay, so I think that, yeah, you just present your
Yeah, you'll
invoice
be
to-
reimbursed.
Yeah, you'll be reimbursed. Okay, anything else, David?
No,
Okay.
no open space news.
Okay,
Oh, well, actually, the one thing, they did have the sidewalk on the beginning of the month from the ARM committee coming out to evaluate our proposal. And I think that sidewalk went extremely well.
oh, good, okay.
So we'll hope for the best.
Okay, wow, well, that's good. Okay, anything else? Then do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make an motion to adjourn.
Great, second?
Second.
All right, does anybody, I'm gonna ask, do we have to, can we just say, does anybody object?
No, you gotta do a roll call.
Oh dear. All right, Jean Walker,
Yes?
Amy,
Yay?
Chuck? David,
Yes.
Susan? Susan,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
and Evelyn says, yes, let's adjourn the meeting. Do you, Carlos? No. Do you even count?
I don't vote.
He's a
Okay.
selectman.